Hi, welcome to Books with Lexi. In this video, I'm going to test if my booktube friends can correctly predict 5 stars for me. If you are new here, I have done this video 2 times before. I will have them linked in the description and maybe wherever the thing goes up here. But it has been a while, so I'm ready to get back into reading some books that my friends think I'm going to give 5 stars. So in this video, I'm going to be reading 3 books picked by 3 booktubers. These are very different books. So the 3 books I will be reading are Gone to See the Riverman by Christopher Triana. This was picked by Kitty from Spicy Cats Reads, and I think the thought process was that she just wanted to see me read the book. Next is The Between by Tananary of Dew. This was picked by Gaby from Ola Books, and I know she said that this was really weird, which is something I am usually a fan of. And then the last one is Inside Out by Maria V. Snyder, and this was picked by Monica from A Little Bit of Monica. And she picked this because I have loved books from this author. So an interesting mix. I'm super excited to see how this goes. I will be starting with Gone to See the Riverman. Hello. Sorry for the kind of odd angle. Hello. I am a third into Gone to See the Riverman by Christopher Triana. This is the book that Kitty recommended to me. Well, it was so funny because I don't remember if I asked directly. Bowser. You showing everyone your beard? Anyway, what was I saying? I don't know. I anyway, Kitty chose this for me. I think the message that I got was along the lines of, you know what? It was funny. Let me find it. So the message says, okay, I'm gonna go with Gone to See the Riverman by Christopher Triana. I think you might give it 5 stars, not because of enjoyment, but just how disturbing it is and how terrible the main character is. And I also do want to see a reaction to this book with the eyeball emoji. You know, the eyeball emoji. So, and then I posted it on my Instagram story today, and they responded with, like, I am scared. So I am a third in Bowser, really? So I am a third into it. Also, the contrast between this cute little bookmark and this book. Anyway, I'll tell you what the book is about. Okay, super fans, groupies, stalkers. These people will give these people will give anything for the idols they worship, be they rock stars, actors, or authors, or even serial killers. Laurie's obsession is with Edmund Cox, who is convicted of butchering more than 20 women. She will do anything to get close to him, so when he gives her a task, she accepts. She has no idea of the horror that awaits her. Edmund says she must go to his cabin in the woods and retrieve a key to deliver to a mysterious figure known only as the Riverman. She brings along her sister, and the trip becomes a surreal nightmare, one that digs up Laurie's personal demons, the one she feels bonds her to Edmund. Soon, she will learn the Riverman is not quite fact or folklore, and definitely not human, at least not anymore. I actually have not read that full synopsis. So where I am currently, she is at the cabin, and like a disturbing thing happened, and then like a weird thing happened. I'm super interested in the psychological aspect of this. Like, I cannot imagine being so obsessed with a serial killer in general, but like also to like write to them and do tasks for them and visit in prison, and oh god, and then like she does this horrible thing for him and was like, you know, I've done some bad things too, but she has not butchered people. Anyway, this woman has lots of problems, like a lot. I wanted to throw up by the letter that he wrote to her, and like reading that, and you're still gonna be obsessed with someone. So she has some real issues that she needs to be in therapy for, and the fact that she dragged her sister along, oh my god. So I never want to read any of the letters from Edmund ever again. I'm sure we're gonna get more, but like, and we are also learning about some like stuff in the past that I'm super interested in. I feel like that might even be one of the worst parts. So I'm gonna keep reading. Just another reminder, this is extreme horror. It hasn't been too bad yet. I mean, there's been some disturbing things, and some like graphic language choices. Okay, last thing before I go, I bought this book from Pango, and the person that had it before me, like, this is how the book naturally opens, so I can tell that they left it like sitting down on this part. So like, is that where they stopped? Did they finish this book? Is it just so disturbing they had to put it down? Like, why is it stuck here? So I'm gonna keep reading. I'll talk to you again once I'm 2/3 in, but I'm really interested in like this psychological stuff in here. Like, what makes a person do these things for serial killers? Okay, bye. Well, I know exactly why the person before me put this down at this exact spot. That they clearly put the book down for a long time. So I have finished Gone to See the Riverman, and I think my final rating for this is going to be 4 stars. I didn't love the ending of this. It felt like very rushed compared to the rest of the book. And then the very, very ending, I personally didn't have any issues with. I know there were people that wanted more from that, but that didn't bother me. I liked the direction this went in. The pacing just felt so off. And it was just like really rushed because for a lot of this, they're just kind of on the journey of finding the Riverman. And then, like, the situation that happens with that, I'm just like, I needed more. And not more as in more explanation, more as in more time with all of that. I do have some issues with how disability is represented in this book, but I also think that it would not have been true to the character because she was so terrible if she was like a good person to her sister who has a disability. But there's a whole conversation with that, just with the use of disability in horror and using characters with disabilities as a way to further the plot and not being fully developed characters. I think that the stuff in here was likely intentional because of the main character whose head we're in, but still it is an important conversation. So I wanted to bring it up. I can't really talk about this anymore, but I did do the live discussion with Kelsey on her channel. So I will have that linked because this was her book club pick for January. And I think it was a really good discussion. There was a lot of interesting points in the comments. And as always, I enjoyed hanging out with Kelsey. So this will be linked and I'm going to move on. So I have made it a third into The Between by Tananarive Due. This was Gabby's recommendation for me. I actually read the first third of this back in February, I think, and then something came up and I didn't get to it and it just kept getting pushed back, not because of the book, but I don't know, it just happened. This is one of the 2 videos that I talked about in a video recently where like I just need to finish these videos because I've been working on them for the entire year. Working on them. The video started at the beginning of the year and then for some reason it just got pushed back, kept getting pushed back, and now I'm like, I want to complete them so that I don't have to have them looming over me anymore. So yeah, I'm a third into The Between, and this is marketed as like speculative horror, and so far it's feeling very contemporary. There are moments where you are getting some interesting things with the speculative and horror stuff, but it's just not quite enough for me yet, and I do anticipate it getting more to that. But we are following our main character. When he was a young boy, he didn't listen to his grandmother and went out into the ocean and started to drown. She goes to rescue him and ends up dying, so he feels like he murdered her. And that's like a thing that he's dealing with at all times. And then he is married and has kids, and they are just kind of existing, and then every once in a while like a slightly supernatural thing will happen. So I'm liking it, not loving it, but the stuff that's happening that is like on the spooky side is interesting. So I think if that becomes more of a part of the book, I could end up really liking this even more. So I think that is all I have to say right now. I want it to move more into this supernatural horror speculative situation because I'm very much into that. And there are certain things that like I cannot wait to see how it is done. So I'm enjoying it. But as of right now, this does not feel like it's going to be 5 stars. So I'm going to get back to reading and I will come back to you with my thoughts a little later. Hello, I am currently taking every key off of my keyboard and cleaning it because Winston spilled soda on it. So I figured what better time to talk to you. I am now 2/3 into the between, and it is interesting. It's picking up more, but there are just like certain things that I don't like about it. And they all just have to do with the relationship in here, the like marriage between our main character and his wife, and it like makes sense to be part of the story, but like I just don't need as much of what's happening for my personal taste. If I can get this back in. I think that the stuff that is happening is really interesting, but also for some reason I am like struggling with my attention with this, which usually only happens when I'm not loving a book. I am enjoying it, but this is just not a favorite for me. I just read her short story collection and I really loved that. And I think that her writing is good. I don't know. I think that there's just like a little too much domestic stuff for my personal taste. And that's totally fine. This is, at this point, feeling like it's going to be 3 stars, which is still good. I don't think this book specifically needs to, like, be changed at all. It's just, like, for me and what I like in books, it's just not a perfect read. So, the audiobook is due super soon, so I'm going to get back to reading, and I will talk to you once I'm done. I have finished the Between. I just picked up the physical copy from the library. And the last third of this for me was so good. I was really into it. I thought it was interesting. I mean, it was throughout, but I wish maybe done a little differently for my personal taste. I think it just took too long for me to get to that part, and then by the end I wasn't as invested as I wanted to be, just because it took me too long to get to that stuff. I'm trying to be so vague. There was some like real life scary things going on throughout, which I thought was like that stuff was interesting, but then I just didn't need some of the domestic drama. That's really my complaint about this, and it's not a fault of the book. It is just like my personal reading taste. This is between 3.5 to 4 stars for me. I'm not sure. I think at the very end of the video, I will let you know my final rating because I just cannot decide right now. But I think that this ended up being really interesting. I would still recommend it for sure. I like this less than her short story collection, The Wishing Pool and Other Stories, and more than The Good House. Not 5 stars for me, but I still enjoyed it. Okay, I have one more book. I have my copy upstairs, so you'll see it in the next clip, but I will be finishing with Inside Out by Maria V. Snyder. So I have started Inside Out. This is Monica's Wreck. I just dropped the book. Anyway, so this is following Trella, and she is a scrub, which is a, like, not job position, but like a, words for fantasy and sci-fi things. A scrub is like technically a job. It's not a lifestyle. Oh my god. What is that word? I don't know. It's her position in society. And pretty much scrubs are cleaners. They keep this, I don't know if it's a planet or a community, I don't know how to talk about these things, clean. There's different levels of this society, and Trella is in the lowest one, and like the scrubs' jobs are to keep the inside, which is the place they live, clean for like the upper level people. So she's just like trying to do her job. She has only one friend and she is like very small. So her job is to like clean the pipes, like air ducts and stuff like that. That's how I'm imagining it, like in between levels and stuff. And sometimes she sneaks up, and apparently she accidentally starts a rebellion and becomes the go-to girl to lead a revolution. That part has not happened yet. Interesting. This is blurbed by Rachel Kane, who wrote the Stillhouse Lake series, but also like, I guess, I don't know, the Morganville Vampires. Is that YA paranormal stuff? Anyway, so that's what's happening. Not a whole lot has happened. We're just learning about this society and our main character, and like obviously the people that their whole life is just like cleaning. Like that's not a good time. And then there's this prophet, which I'm not really sure where they come from, but like talking about the outside because they're on the inside of what, I don't know, but like talking about the outside and like this thing that like nobody knows is real, but saying it's real. And then something happens with that guy, the prophet, and it just turns into this whole thing. So where I am right now, our main character is like just starting to kind of be doing things towards this apparent rebellion and revolution that is going to be happening. I'm really enjoying it. Things are constantly happening, and it is giving me the same vibes as Navigating the Stars, which is the other, I don't know the trilogy name, but that's the trilogy that I've read. Well, the first two from this author and really liked. I think I was liking those more, but I'm really interested. It's feeling like it's in the 4-star territory for me right now. It's like slight Hunger Games vibes with like the different levels of society, and then like our main character being put into this position of like being this rebellion leader. I'm not obsessed with it either. I don't really know why it's not feeling like 5 stars yet, but I'm having a really good time with it. I feel like I'm not able to form real thoughts right now, so I'm gonna go and I'm gonna go back to reading. I would love to get to 2/3 tonight. We'll see how it goes because clearly I can't even speak right now. I am on sprints for Battleathon. I'm hanging out with Kitty, Cass, and Mel, and I'm having a great time. I was like crying because I was laughing so much. So I'm gonna get back to doing that. I am enjoying my time with this, so I'm looking forward to getting further. I have made it 2/3 into Inside Out, and I am enjoying this. It really, Winston, quit scratching your claws on my couch. Anyway, this is giving me Hunger Games vibes, just like the setup and the main character who wasn't really trying to start. Stop. This cat keeps scratching his claws on my couch. Anyway, the main character who like wasn't trying to start a revolution was like just trying to mostly avoid things to kind of like protect her sanity. Not really, but you know. This did come out 2 years after the Hunger Games, so yeah, I'm just getting some of those vibes, which I am enjoying. But once again, I'm still liking this less than the other series that I read by this author, and also less than the Hunger Games. So while I'm having a good time reading it, it is just not an all-time favorite, but it feels like it's going to be 4 stars. So it is getting late. I am tired, but I'm going to switch to reading this on my Kindle and read in bed. So I will talk to you tomorrow with my final thoughts. I have finished Inside Out, and I think I'm gonna go with 4, maybe 4.5 stars. I enjoyed this. I thought it was a fun read. It was a quick read, but it is not one that has like stuck with me since reading. It hasn't even been that long, but like I don't think I've thought about it once. I will continue reading this. I do have the sequel, and honestly that's probably why I'm going to continue. I'm just not a big series reader, so where it ended is like fine for me. I don't really need more information, but because I own it, I will be reading it, and I'm not upset about it at all. I think that the plot was fun. It was very Hunger Games vibes, which works for me, but it just wasn't anything like out of the box So those are really all of my thoughts. I don't have anything else to say. It definitely feels like this makes sense for the time that it was written with what was popular, which is something that I still enjoy, but it just doesn't lead to a lot for me to talk about in a video. So very glad I read this, but once again, not 5 stars. I didn't really expect this one to end up being 5 stars once I started it. And I know Monica said she doesn't like this one as much as the other trilogy that I read some of by this author. So I feel like this rating makes a lot of sense and I'm not mad about it at all. So that is it. I have read everything. I will come back to you with a wrap up tomorrow. So I have finally read everything up for this video. It has been a long time coming. I know I mentioned in a previous video that like I read this in February. But I'm glad that I finally got to all of these. I will say this is my least successful of these videos. I've done 2 previously, and in both of those, I believe there were at least 2 5 stars in each video. But I still really liked all of these, so it's still a success. So Kitty recommended Gotta See the Riverman. This was 4 stars, and I for sure see why it was recommended to me. I know the part of the reason it was recommended was just because she wanted to see my reaction, but you know, that's fine. I do have some issues with this in general, but I enjoyed my time with it and I'm really glad I read it. The Between, recommended by Gaby, was 3.5 stars, and I for sure see why this one was recommended. It was so weird, but it just took me too long to get into the story for this to be a new favorite for me. And then Inside Out, recommended by Monica. This was 4 to 4.5. I don't know, maybe 4.25. Who knows? I don't know. I would say probably closer to 4 stars than 4.5, so 4 stars. This was a fairly safe recommendation considering I have enjoyed from this author previously, but I probably would not have picked this one up if it was not for this. And I will be continuing, so that is fun. Very good ratings overall. I really enjoyed doing this video. I will be doing another one of these probably in November, so make sure you stick around so you don't miss that. Please, please, please check out Kitty, Gaby, and Monica's channels. They are all linked in the description, and I highly recommend all of them. Monica is still working on some content, but she's part of my book club. I will also have the previous 2 versions of this in the description for you. If you're looking to find me in other places on the internet, everything is linked down there as well, including my Bookstagram, my Storygraph, and my Patreon. Also, if you're not aware, in September, I am reading 30 books from my shelves in 30 days. So that is on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Also, some readathon stuff. I'm currently co-hosting Battleathon, hosted by Mel Lenore Reads. I will have that linked for you. That is based on reading 5-star predictions. And in October, I am hosting the second round of Halloweekend readathon, where we read spooky books every Thursday through Sunday together in October. If you made it to the end and want to leave me an emoji to say you watched, leave me any emoji with a face. It doesn't have to be a human, just a face. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and hope to see you in my next one. Bye!